question I get asked from time to time is, what's the difference between a living trust and a will? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Both are instructions about what you want to have happen to your estate after you die. However, a will is nothing more than that. It's nothing more than written instructions left to others to tell them what you want to have happen. A will cannot own property, can't own anything, in fact, and it can't own banking and savings accounts or brokerage accounts or any other asset. It's just instructions. And if you pass away with a will, that will have to be probated by a court so that an administrator can be legally appointed to act on behalf of the estate. And that probate's going to probably run you anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000. So having a family living trust set up, it's a different kind of document, and it can actually own your house. It will take title and own your house. It can be the named beneficiary on checking and savings accounts and other kinds of brokerage accounts and other assets, so that when you pass away, those assets are owned by the trust, and whoever you named as the successor trustee immediately has access to those and can control those or liquidate those, whatever your instructions are. So a family living trust is the only way to avoid probate and having to go to court and having a public hearing about your estate and who's to be appointed administrator. It's also in these probates that other heirs or other people who think that they've got some claim on your money are going to come out of the woodwork and drive you nuts. And I'm in one right now this weekend. And I'm dealing with another attorney who's not terribly competent.
Oh, okay.
And it just makes it frustrating. You know, the easiest thing in the world becomes highly complicated, and now they're going to spend thousands of dollars arguing over literally $500.
Oh my goodness.
And they just can't see the logic and the illogic in that. So
wow.
The family living trust would avoid all of those headaches and hassles after you pass away and makes the allocation of your assets so much easier. And the family living trust also comes with other documents, such as the living will, which are instructions to your loved ones if you're ever in a coma or on life support and you have to discuss end of life decisions with doctors. Mm-hmm. So it's really a great set of documents that help people really plan for the future.
Very cool. You know, that reminds me when we set up, my wife and I, and when I say we, set up our family living trust, it was an interesting, that right there was an interesting question that we had to figure out. Like, my sister happens to be a nurse, so she has some medical background. And so we decided that if I was in a coma, my sister was going to be designated the obligation to decide if I should live or die.
Yeah. To pull the plug or not.
Yeah, to pull the plug or not.
We call it the pull the plug document.
Yes, yes. My wife didn't want to do that. She's like,
right.
I don't know, what if you could keep living and I pull the plug on you? And so my sister gets that daunting task. Hopefully I never am in a coma.
Yeah, and what the estate plan does is it forces you to look at those questions now.
Yes.
And have those discussions with family before it becomes an emotional burden.
Yes.
It's much easier to have that conversation when everything is good, and then when things turn south, then you've already made the decisions and people already know what's going on, and it makes it so much easier on your loved ones.
Absolutely. The other tricky one was, for those who are listening and haven't done this yet, this might be really, really important to you, is if my wife and I both passed away and my two children stayed alive for whatever reason, they were alive, they weren't part of the accident or anything like that, who gets to raise them from there on out, And so that's a interesting, deep conversation that you'll have with your spouse, because
absolutely.
Who I think should raise my children if I'm not around and my wife's not around might not be the same as who's my sister. My wife thinks.
If you don't leave written instructions, your in-laws and your spouse's in-laws are all going to be battling over who gets these kids,
yes.
And the kids are going to suffer.
Yeah.
So advanced planning, there's your golden tip of the day. I've got like 5 more, so stay tuned.
Yes.
But that first one is plan in advance, plan for the future, and answer the tough questions now.
Wonderful, wonderful.